Hi teaching group, Cambria asked me to talk a little bit about the changes I made to my office hours last semester and the feedback I received on that from students in the final evaluation. So let's talk about it. In previous semesters, I had done office hours by appointment, or I had a set time where students could come and meet me in the Google Hangout or Zoom or Adobe Connect room, whatever form of communication we were using. And those were only mildly successful. I'm sure that you guys have seen the same. You have very few students that actually attend those office hours, and at least I have experienced when I allow them to set appointments, those appointments aren't usually that helpful. It's a student who's complaining about assignments or the class in general or group work. And so those aren't especially productive. So last semester I revamped my office hours, and I started doing something that I called AMA office hours. So it stands for Ask Me Anything. Students are sent a Google form, and they are allowed to submit any question they have about a particular assignment or topic. It's specified within the Google form. They have 7 days to complete that form, and it is optional and anonymous. And then at the end of that period, I take all of those questions and I answer them on a video, much like this. And then I post that video to the class announcements and email it out. And I found that this is significantly more successful with my students because it allows them to ask their questions anonymously on their own time and then view the video on their own time if they're interested. I'd say that there's a good portion of the students who do view the video, especially as groups, because there's often some questions and confusion about what to do as the group, and the video sets it nicely. It allows the entire group to hear exactly what the instructor says. There's no questions or interpretation there. I did this partially based on the feedback that we received in the fall forum. There were a number of students who said that they felt isolated in the class, and while I couldn't do anything to help them feel less isolated from their fellow students, I did want to make them feel less isolated from me. And so I found this as a really good way to increase vulnerability as an instructor and show them that I was a real person. And while I do try and keep these videos fairly professional, they are done in my home, and I do have 3 small children. So every once in a while we'll have some kind of interruption, the phone will ring, the kids will be screaming, and I try and limit that as much as possible. I do think sometimes it's good for the students to see that we are real people. It also gives me the opportunity to talk to them like I would if we were standing in a traditional classroom setting, or if they came to visit me in my office in a traditional university setting. And so there are times when the responses, while informative, may not be as polished as they would be via email. And I was worried about that at first, but the feedback I received has been very positive. Students felt that it made me more approachable, it made me into more of a real person, and I really liked that because in my own experience, I know approaching an instructor can be difficult, especially if you have a question. So this allowed them to ask their questions without fear of repercussions, but also to see that if they had a question and they needed to ask it outside of these office hours, then I was a real person who was willing to help them. And so I would recommend doing this style of office hours, or just looking into increasing the number of videos that you post for your students. I know that some of my on-campus students don't seem to care as much, and I think that's because they have regular interaction with their instructors, but the online students were the ones who requested it, who provided really positive feedback. They were happy they could finally see the instructor. They were happy to get a little bit of insight into who I was beyond the email. And the questions that I received from the students have been excellent. I think that 391 is a difficult class. There are a lot of questions about the assignment. Some of the instructions are poorly written. The deadlines are confusing, but this allowed them to kind of search through each assignment, sift through, and ask their questions in advance of the due date, and just get a little more information and feel more comfortable. So if you are looking for ways to change up your class, this is an interesting experiment, and I'd love to hear how it goes for you.